Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and today we have one of our authors as a guest, and I think you're going to be really interested in what she has to say. Before we get started, I want to remind you to go over and get your free copy of Breakthrough Author Magazine, www.breakthroughauthormagazine.com. We are getting ready to shift out our 2024 contributors and bring in new contributors for 2025. We want to keep things fresh, new perspectives. So make sure you get in and grab your free copy. The other thing I want to remind you about is the AI Author Academy. We are running it again in September. If you're struggling to create really great content or be able to post on a regular basis with that really great content, this class is for you. It's also for you if you're a self-published author, because we have AI programs that we share that find your keywords, they find your categories, they really take care of metadata problems. We had clients in the last round who put their books into the big one that we use, and it's not Chat GPT, and created courses. They created quizzes. Myself, I created a quiz. So if this is something that could help you streamline what you're doing with your author platform building, you need to sign up. It's aiauthoracademy.com, and we'll be running it in the month of September. There are 4 group sessions and then 4 one-on-ones as well. So we take what we learn in the group session and we apply it to your platform. And I know sometimes it can be really tough to know where to start. That's why I do the one-on-ones, because I will know where to start with your stuff. So again, www.aiauthoracademy.com. Actually, I don't think there's a www on there. So today, our guest is Dr. Lisa Cooney, and she is a PhD and LMFT and a leading expert in personal transformation and trauma recovery, focusing on soul therapy, life coaching, and spiritual transformation. She is the creator of the groundbreaking Live Your Roar, and she's transformed the lives of thousands, helping them overcome childhood abuse and achieve radically orgasmic alive reality. That's what ROAR stands for. Dr. Lisa's work is rooted in I'm having it no matter what philosophy, and the principles of choosing for yourself, committing to growth, collaborating with the universe, and creating the life you only dreamed of. And this book is so powerful that some of her clients have endorsed it. Gwyneth Paltrow, Zach Brown, a musician whose name escapes my mind right now, but she's worked with some very influential people. So stay tuned for the interview with me and Lisa. Welcome, Dr. Lisa. It's great to
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm really excited to have you here because you don't know this, but about once a year, I get a book that I read in its entirety. And I think this year it was yours when you sent it to me. Normally, I read a chapter and I tell you, you need this, that, and that. And yours was one of those that it's like, this is interesting. And this is transformational. And there's usually, and they're all personal development. So I don't know what that says about me.
It says you're awesome. It says you're awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I enjoy, doing stuff like or reading books like that. And it's the implementation that's always hard. So tell us, how did you get to where you're doing what you're doing today? Was there something in your life that just changed your life dramatically and you said, I'm going to help others and do this?
Yes, since a very young age. But particularly for this book, the recent book, Body of Change, that's coming out now, or very soon, I was actually just not feeling well in my body. And in my mind, like everything just started to, everywhere I looked just started to like be a problem. I wasn't happy in all these different ways, and I was like, something's really wrong. And one day, I don't know what got me to that day. I just turned to my computer, I closed my office door, and I just said, okay, body, talk to me. And I started typing. And the first words I saw when I opened my eyes after I felt like tears coming down my cheeks were the phrase, "You're killing me." And that's what my body said to me. And I literally was like the Home Alone kid, right? But it didn't, I wasn't laughing, but I can now. And I was like, whoa, it was one of those moments where you just like see your whole life just unfold and the problems that you've been avoiding, but not really avoiding because you kind of know them, even if you're avoiding them, came right up in front of me. And I was like, time to deal.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's kind of how my life works with personal empowerment and self growth. And once I leaned into that, I started to change my entire life and it rearranged everything. I didn't know at the time that it was going to rearrange everything, but it did rearrange everything. And it felt like at that point when I first started writing this book, that particular moment, it was like, oh, if I can dialogue with my body and then change and heal, how could this be for other people's bodies to change and heal? Because it also included, I was sick and I didn't know it at the time. So this also led me down that road to find out what I actually had and what was going on. Um, some other things in my psychological, my own psyche that from old stuff came up just to be shedded off. Work wise, I was like, I got to do something different. I kind of hit my limit. And I got to go a different way, but I'm not sure exactly how. So everything just started to change. My relationships with people. Once I started looking at what my body was saying, I was realizing how I created my life against my body without even knowing it.
Oh, that is so crazy. And when you did this, were you already like, seeing people? You were already a psychologist? Because I think, and I could be wrong about this, I think everybody assumes when you go to a psychologist, like they've got all the answers and they're these super happy people because they have all these tools. And it sounds like you had the tools, you just weren't using them.
I had certain tools, I was using them. I hadn't used at this level the dialoguing with my body. And then I decided to put that into practice, not only for myself because it worked, but for other people. And yes, I was working with other people almost 30 years now. And one thing stands out all the time is how hard it is for people to get inside themselves to listen to their own answers and their own navigation system. And so, yeah, people in the mental health profession obviously have to do personal work at a certain level to get here. It's part of our clinical training. Um, but I don't, it's never been a place in my world to stop in personal growth. It's just you get comfortable to a certain level after you work something out. You change the patterns, the habits, your life, whatever has to change when you open up to that. And then you move to the next one. And then you move to the next one. And sometimes, like it did with my body, it comes in what I call the universal crunch. I've had a few universal crunches in my life, but this particular book, Body of Change, that was the universal crunch. I'll call it this. There was universal crunches that were like me, the phoenix rising up from the ashes, you know, dark nights of the soul, things like that. But this time it was more like me in what I learned, getting now in alignment with my body and updating my body and my psyche together, psyche and body. So I become this mind, body, soul, spirit that I am instead of just the mind separate from the body or more spirit or soul connected versus the body. You know, we're here in a physical body on the earth plane, even though we have connection on a soul to the universal consciousness. And
Why
so
do
I
you,
wanted to really align with that.
why do you think it's so hard for people to connect with their body? Is it just so much external noise, avoidance? What is it? All of the above? What do you think in your opinion it is?
Great question. The easy answer is all of the above. the not so easy answer, and this is not about blaming anybody, it's just like we as a society don't educate ourselves in the importance of our health, our wellness, and our body. Nowadays, more, but not to the level that this book is attempting to create, not only domestically, internationally, but globally. Because when you have body health, you have holistic wellness. And what I mean by that is body health, wellness, psychological wellness, emotional wellness, and alignment in all those levels. You're not fragmented anymore. And that was my goal, because some people may not even notice this, but I did since I was a very young girl. I did not like how I would show up sometimes in my, let's say, persona, but it was a little different than how I felt inside my body. And I always felt personally a little inauthentic that way, even though I actually know that you're supposed to put on different hats in different arenas and things like that. But I really wanted to create myself, just my own personal belief system and my own personal, I guess it's not even belief system, it's more like a soul target. For some reason, from a young age, I was always driven to the mind, body, spirit, soul authenticity. And I knew that any illness or even disease, before it gets diagnosed as a dis-ease, can actually be changed and transformed if you're in the face everything and rise, lean into it. And we're not taught that. I had to teach myself that. And now I teach, if you will, anybody willing to listen to me. And in this case, those that come to me, because I don't necessarily, they find me, thank goodness, say, I need some help. And it always ends up with me helping people, not only psychologically, but psychophysiologically, as well as psychologically.
I love that because we live in a world right now with so much anger and obesity and, people that just don't do things like that. So was there like any, because I'm going to ask this because I had a life
Yeah.
event where I started, after it happened, I started seeing patterns everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And even my own, I'd be like, wait a minute, this happened again. Was there a life event that just really like blew your socks off that you'd like to share?
How long you got? I'm 54. I got a couple of them. But seriously, the one that I tell a lot, and some people who are listening to this maybe have heard it, but it maybe not.
Mhm.
The one thing in my 20s, when I was at the bottom of, or at least what I would call my bottom, and like ready to chuck it in, where everything had I just let it kind of take over me, not purposely, just did. And I was still doing work then, but I was really underneath my own wounds, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, sexual, financial abuses from my childhood, all over the place. And and I just had this gnawing depression and desire and defeatism, essentially. And I wanted to kill myself. That's what this was
Oh,
leading up to. But I really didn't want to, but the feeling and the urge in the worst way, as I tell you the story, came over me one night. I was in San Francisco. I walked out in front of a bus, saw the lights, and I was ready to check out.
oh,
And then all of a sudden, I don't know how, but I can still feel it. Something pulled and grabbed my shoulder, and there was no one there. And I ended up back on the sidewalk.
wow.
Bus passed. I'm looking at it, realizing a little dissociative, like I'm supposed to be dead right now, but I'm not. Looking around, no one's there. And then I look around and be like, well, and I started talking to the universe as if I wasn't feeling crazy enough. And I said, well, and I am not making a joke about suicide because it is not
It's
a joke in
it
any
is
way.
not.
It's just my story. I literally said, well, God, I can't even kill myself, right?
Oh,
So you must have something in store for me. I know it's a terrible statement, and I mean nothing about, I've lost close people to suicide, clients. It's not a joke by any means. but this is my story. I've written about it. I've worked through it. And that was what I said to what I called God at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if I feel this way tonight, I bet you there's at least one other person or a million that I could probably help with this experience. So I'm going to find out how to heal myself and then how to communicate that in a way that whoever needs to hear what I have to say, it will find them. I didn't know who, I didn't know what, but that was my target from that 20 period of time to I think I was 22 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that has literally been my soul print, if you want, since I know we're probably going to get into that.
Yeah.
But that was imprinted on me in that moment because there was no one there. And that's when I realized there's more here than meets the eye.
Yes.
And that's what it's like getting into your body because your mind is brilliant. It's the best super fast computer in the world, right? But it has limitations. Those limitations are our belief systems, our patterns, our habits, our environment, our DNA, and the family system, and. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean we don't have choice. We still have choice, but we have to look at all of that. We are produced, if you will, and grown up in an environment, and you do this and you do this, and this is how you do it, and this is how you don't do it. And no one's saying, does this work for you? At least no one in my family, my upbringing, right? Does this work for you? I want to tell you, I started crying the first time anybody asked me, another pivotal moment, if I was okay. I'll never forget this teacher. I haven't seen her since, like before graduation in 1991, Fairfield University. Her name is Dr. Judy Primavera. If you listen to this someday, please contact me because I love you. She actually said to me, she came and see my senior year, and that's when I found psychology. I went through every school. I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. But then I found psychology and I took this family violence seminar with Dr. Juliet Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even realize how violent my family was. I was feeling it.
Right.
I didn't know that's what it was. And at 21, this professor pulled me after class and came up to me and said, can I speak to you after class? Now I'm scared because my mama taught me if your teachers come and ask you something, you're in trouble. And then I'm still thinking like a little girl, like, are they going to tell my mom? Because my mom had some boundary issues and everybody knew her in my Catholic grammar school and everything like that. And you didn't want to mess with Marie in a loving way.
Right.
So Dr. Judy Primavera said to me, she just reached out and said, Lisa, are you okay? I was 21. I think that was the first time somebody asked me if I was okay.
Wow. Yeah.
And I just started crying, just like when I sat in front of my computer, fast forward, gosh, I must have been about 40 when I started this book, honestly. And started typing what I started typing and letting my body talk. I just knew I wasn't accessing. I knew I had education and training, and I knew I had therapeutic tools, and I knew I had help, but I knew I wasn't getting to where I needed to go. So no harm, no foul. If there wasn't somebody available to take me, I'm going to take myself until I find somebody else available to take me. And that's how it really all came about. But it started from a long time ago. This is just the next segment of the book. And I really wanted to put pain into words for possibility, not for paralysis and more abuse and more trauma, but really like, let me dialogue for you what I think may be going on that we can put into words, but is mostly felt as energy. And there's not a dialogue for that yet in this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I put into the book with journal exercises and questions and how I detail what I call the invisible cage of abuse.
Yeah.
And we carry it around.
That is so, so true. There is I don't know if you ever watched the movie Hillbilly Elegy. there is a scene in that movie that I got up in a room full of people and just started crying. And they're like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, I can't even tell you. Like,
Right.
yeah, you probably realize coming from a traumatic background like that, which scene it is. But
Yeah.
my kids were blown away, and I was like, I grew up with that. Like, and they're like, really? Like they never, it wasn't something you really share with your kids. So
No, it's not. And it's a different world, right? That's the beauty, is that the world is changing. And there's a lot of people that have this level of education put out there right now. And there's a lot of other people, including me, books, webinars, seminars, things like that, that show people this more about the body and the
Mhm.
body, mind, spirit, soul connection, holistic
Yeah,
healing. Mhm.
absolutely. So tell us about what you meant in your book by soul print and how it relates to your unique spiritual signature. Because I actually went through your book and did all the exercises. I was very impressed by this.
When you first told me that you read it and you did the exercises, I knew that that was something unique about you. So I just wanted to say thank you,
Oh,
because you're right. Some people just look at it and get a sense of it in like the first page or two, the first chapter, first three chapters or something like that, and they're like, "Yeah, okay, we can do something with this." But I liked the fact and I appreciated it that you went all the way through it and it spoke to you, because that's really the way that I write. From I like to get inside people's psyche and inside their cells and their bodies and like say it for them. I'm not saying that you can't say it yourself. I'm saying that I needed that because no one taught me how to have that dialogue.
right. Mhm.
And that dialogue with myself helped me become my own like inner physician strategist.
Mhm.
So um I knew, because I also didn't want people to become dependent on me, like I'm, the teacher, or I know better, or I'm superior in some way because I'm writing this. It's like, no, we're all learning. And
Right.
here's what I learned. So take what you can from me and go wherever else you're drawn to go. Because that's what I did too. Whatever works for you to get you in tune with you is what works for you. So, case in point, soul print. I was over in Israel writing my dissertation, and I was, reading books and studying books and philosophizing and, psychologizing, not even words, but like trying to figure out what I was doing and putting this whole thing together. And I came across this rabbi that coined the term soul printing. And I was like, hmm. And then the definition is simply, it's likened to that of your fingerprint. It's unique to each of us. And it's like the special, unique contour and character of your own soul that is different for Juliet, that is different for Lisa, that's different for all of you listening. And just like your thumbprint, fingerprint is unique, unleashing what's unique about me, what's unique about you, what's unique about us on a soul level, on the lips, so to speak, of this reality, is the highest goal, quote unquote, of spiritual living. And when I read that, soul printing, the uniqueness of what we're each here to be and do, I was like, that. And it tied back to when I was 7 years of age in Mass with my Italian Catholic grandmother in New York. I used to walk her to church every day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But that's where her safety was, and I just dropped her off and picked her up. But I loved dropping her off and I loved picking her up because she was so fun and so kind. And she really she's one of the reasons why I'm alive today is because she just gave me so much love. And I knew from her that I was loved no matter what was going on. But when we were in church, I did stay with her one time. We were kneeling down. The priest said something. My grandmother said, whatever you're supposed to say, and whatever the priest said. That was a little bit about her. So she just talked throughout the whole mass, but she said the phrase, my soul and I shall be healed. That was the first time I ever heard the word soul. And my little body at 7 years of age looked at my grandmother kneeling down, and it was just like reverberating in my cells, this word soul. And I didn't know it at the time, but I knew something woke up within me. And just by hearing my grandmother say soul, and then fast forward 20 or something, 30 years, probably wasn't 30 years, but fast forward at least 2 decades, I'm writing my dissertation and I stumble across soul print. And I remember this with my grandmother. And I'm like, yes, the soul print. And it just always guided me. And it gave me something beyond being Lisa or Cooney, my last name, or whatever, Italian, Irish, or grew up in New York, licensed this or that or the other thing. It went so far beyond this reality. It was like, who is Lisa as a soul? What is the soul print of this being that you've embodied? It wasn't even Lisa. And so then I started really getting in deep and quiet into my intuition, into my spiritual connection. And what I didn't know what that was. It wasn't any form or religion or anything like that. It was just more of soul and spirit connection. I would get information. And that's actually how I wrote my books. I would just close my eyes and listen for information and let the fingers start typing.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, I swear. And even during my dissertation, literally, like books would fall off the bookshelf and open to the page I needed for a quote. No joke.
Oh my gosh.
Just like that person or that energy that wasn't there that pulled me back to the sidewalk in my 20s. It was the same kind of energy. So I knew enough and I had enough education at that point to know that whatever the heck was going on, it couldn't be scientifically proven, but it was a little bit more qualitative. And that was where I was going to go, and finding that OCCULT, that occult, mystical, spiritual education that took me east, west, and all over the world to find out and put this book together, essentially.
That's incredible. So, one of the things I really liked about your book, and I think it's the thing that keeps people from not moving forward with personal development, is that 1 degree shift. I think we go into therapy or we go into whatever it is we're trying to heal, and we just try to do it all at once, and it fails because we don't take into consideration. Yeah, I'll give you an example. When you change, there are people around you who are not invested in your change. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that. But I love the 1 degree change because it gives you permission to take your time and do it slowly, which I think minimizes all that. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. Well, one, it's it's the opposite of being a perfectionist by taking a 1 degree shift. Because the New York, when I was raised in New York, everything was just done in a New York minute, but you would do like 800,000 things all at once and get it done somehow. I don't necessarily know, but I wasn't completely present. Right. So when you're learning something new, you really want to be present. Like so the 1 degree shift came like, okay, for this like next hour or even this next minute, what is one thing that I could do that would be different than maybe what I'm feeling? So if I'm anxious, what's one thing that I could do that would make a 1 degree shift so I wouldn't feel anxious? And sometimes it was even just to allow myself to feel anxious, put a timer on and let me be anxious for a minute. And then once the timer went off for a minute, done, move on to something else and be productive.
I love that.
So I would lean into whatever it was, and then I would move on. And I had to teach myself that because let's say in my family system, you'd sit down at the dinner table and finish your plate in 5 minutes without chewing or digesting anything because you never knew what was going to happen.
Did we grow up in the same house?
Probably. Many houses like that, right? And so then I like literally getting in touch with my body was learning how to eat again, that I never learned how to eat, and how to chew and how to feel safe chewing and taking time at a dinner table and not feeling anxious. That was communication with my body. Another example was like, yeah, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to call people and talk to people. And now I'm lucky enough that people find me, and I have that inlaid in the years of being a professional. It's not that I don't do anything to attract clients, but now that they seem to just come through the energy. But back then, 30 years ago, I didn't think I was deserving of having anybody come to me. You know what I mean? So I had to like work on myself to get to the point of proving that I had something to gift to people. And that's a whole other mind body shift right there, is out of the proving mentality in your mind to more like, how can I be a contribution and just know that I'm here because I care and collaborate with you. So that was another 1 degree shift, like just going to be present for this person right now, not see the whole day, one client, 1 hour at a time. So that's a little bit of the 1 degree shift. It could be at work, it can be personal, including exercise. Just for today, body, how do you want to move? Okay, today I'm going to go for a walk for 30 minutes. Great. Time it. I timed everything at first.
I was going to say that's a little compulsive.
Yeah. Yes, because I just wanted to because I also had very busy life with family and kids and traveling and writing and clients and everything like that. I forgot about me. So I decided to put me first. And at first I had to like fit it in. And it was okay, like 30 minutes here, an hour there, go to the gym here, do that. But all those things were 1 degree shifts. One of my 1 degree shifts was today, no matter what happens, I'm going to be grateful for everything. Good or bad, right or wrong, shitty or crappy. Excuse my language. I'm just going to be grateful. I'm grateful for that shittiness because of this. And I'm grateful for that crappiness because of that. I'm grateful because even though it's shitty and crappy, the sun is out. Thank you. It's beautiful. Let me just go stand out in the sun and feel that on my skin. Okay, now come back. And I'm usually, after I take that moment, I'm just acknowledging and leaning into what is and making that quality that I wanted to become that day. And I chose that every single day for quite some time. I really had to put it into practice, honestly. It's like going to the gym and working out. You have to cultivate your own presence and care about it and you enough and your body. It's like your body is your relationship. You are in relationship with your body. I don't care if you're in relationship with somebody else or married or not married. It doesn't matter to me. And I love it. I have a lot of videos on YouTube and I do a lot of stuff on relationships. And everybody's like, I'm so happy I'm not in relationship. And I hate relationships. And they're not worth it and things like that. And I believed all those things too. And the interesting thing is I always write, but wait, it sounds like you know what you want and what you don't want. So you're in relationship with you, and that's a good thing. So it's not, relationships are not just about other people. They're about how well we listen to where we're at. You can't listen to where you're at if you're not connecting with where you're at, your body, your spirit, your soul, your thoughts. Not, well, I learned this from my mom. I learned this from my boss. I learned this from my dad. Oh, because I'm this religion, or because I went to this school, or because I lived in this socioeconomic position, I'm supposed to act like this. Those are just things. They're not real. What's real is your soul print. What's real is your heart. What's real is how authentic and genuine can you be? And that has really been my target before I even knew it was my target. Like with this book, The Body of Change, when I did find out that I was sick and did decide to change my body, and note to self, I don't think you just have to change by getting sick. So anybody out there, don't do it. I don't recommend it. But if you have to, know that it is possible to heal, and even diseases when you get diagnosed. But that's a whole other topic there.
It is. So Lisa, where do we find your book and where do we find you if we want to work with you?
Well, you can go online to www.drlisacooney, COONEY.com. and you'll find me there. If you don't like doing searching on the web, you can just email customer care, just like it sounds, at drlisacooney.com. And Archie, my executive assistant, knows all the details about how to get you connected to me specifically, get a message to me. We also have a private HIPAA. If you're in the mental health world, you know what HIPAA means. HIPAA protected app connected to my website. So you can just sign up and send me a message. If it's the logo, you're sending a message to Archie. If it's a picture of me, you're sending a message to me. Does that?
Yeah, and Archie's amazing, by the way. I had the honor of working with Dr. Lisa's team, and they were amazing. They were right on top of everything. So, Lisa, thank you so much. I could do like another half hour, but this has just been so interesting. But thank you for spending the time with us today and telling us about your new book.
And thank you, Juliet. And thank you for taking such an interest in the body of change so that we all learn the possibility, even like a 1 degree shift, of how to heal, love, and empower ourselves through our bodies.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And I can tell you live it too, which it makes it all the much better. I don't like it when people are out of alignment with what they're teaching. It's part of that pattern recognition thing.
It really is. It really is. And I'm thank you for that, because I have worked hard on that myself, just to be like, let me put this out there that matches what's in here. And that's why it's also coming out now. Because I did write this book a while ago, but it's now I'm really living it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's being published. So that to me is right in alignment.
Right, right. Just briefly, it's not the end, you guys. Just going back, you have been writing books because that was one of the things that really impressed me too. Is you have been self-publishing all along, and you've kind of taken us on your journey with each book, cleaning up the finances, cleaning up everything. Yeah. So, you guys, when you grab this book, go look at her other books too, because you might find, maybe your life isn't a complete mess, maybe your health isn't, but maybe you need to focus on finances, or maybe because you're going to get a lot of this through all of her books. And I love that you took us along on your life journey.
Well, thank you for that, because that actually I know we were supposed to end, but we're just going to say one other thing. Yes, my first book, I called it The Relationship with My Mother, and how I got my mind right to deal with that so that I didn't stay in resentment and hate. Right. The second book, The Lies of Money, was what my father and mother taught me about money, but mostly my father, and how it was not helping me, even though he was brilliant in some ways. But what I decided as a kid into an adult didn't work. So I had to change all of that. And then the third book was like me coming out beyond my mom and dad, creating after abuse. And this one now, The Body of Change, is really me in authenticity and genuinity, giving the message that I think was particularly for and from my soul print to deliver to the world. And there's one left in this, but that's for after. One left in the journey, since you asked.
Well, it is kind of a journey. I don't know what way to do it, but it was because you guys, for you out there that haven't written a book is a journey. I really and truly believe that when you get like a writer's block, it is the universe saying, or God, or whoever your higher power is saying to you, you have the brilliance to do this, but you just have to heal something for me to get through it. Because every time I've written a fiction novel, that's what's happened. I get this writer's block, and then I realize, oh, this isn't going too well. So, right. I have to go off and heal something. So I love the way you made your healing journey into books.
Yes. That's part of my soul print. I wish I could tell you that I had that brilliant thought and I created. I actually don't wish I could tell you that, but there was an older part of me or a younger part of me that would have been very kind of egoistic that way. Yeah. Now it's more like, oh, that's my soul print coming through. I'm just in alignment. You see the difference? It's just like, oh yeah, I really got that. And that's what I was trying to do. It's more like, no, the flow and the ease when there's no superiority or entitlement or ego in it was very important. And believe you me, I grew up in New York. We had a lot of ego. I know I did. I know I had to chisel away at it. I know. And every delay seemingly was a distraction, but it was actually having to dive in, clean out some of the muck, like when you go to the dentist
Uh-huh.
and you get the sweaters off your teeth. Sorry, but I'm trying to bring it real. I'm a realist. And then you're just like, wow, everything is so breezy and fresh and clean, and I feel so free. And then things start to flow again. So it's not, you didn't make a mistake. You didn't, if any delay happens, it's just like either the universe is getting you ready for the next level, or the universe is getting the universe ready for you for the next level. It's never, if it's yours, it will always come. That's what I found. So if you're out there and you have a book or a project or a new invention or something, if it's yours, I promise you, if it's meant to be, it will be. And if you're on this kind of wishbone going left, right, I don't know where to go, just take the next right step. Just for today, what's the 1 degree shift that I can make? Choose that, see how it turns out, and flow with the energy versus not doing anything and become stuck in paralysis analysis.
Gosh. Wow, you guys, great ending. Go get the book. Thanks,
And let
Dr.
me know how you think about it and what you think. I'm happy to hear it.
Good, good, good. Thank you.